There was a woman who once lived like life was stable, not rich in a flashy way, but stable enough to help people. When others had problems, she was one of the first to step in. If someone needed food, she tried. If family needed support, she gave. If there was pressure anywhere around her, she carried part of it without making noise. To many people, she wasn't just a sister, she was a solution. Even my mother knew her like that. Even I benefited from her kindness at different points in life. She didn't calculate who was who. She just helped. But life doesn't always stay in one position. Her situation changed, slowly, quietly, until one day she was no longer the one giving freely. She became the one trying to survive, a mother of boys, a wife with a husband who couldn't carry the responsibility he once dreamed of carrying. A woman now walking from house to house, selling small things, robes, flasks, just to make sure food doesn't miss on the table. The same hands that used to give now had to work harder just to keep going. And then came something harder than poverty. People. The same people she once stood for began to disappear slowly. Some stopped inviting her. Some got distant. Some acted like she was no longer part of the same circle. Not because she changed as a person, but because her situation changed, and that kind of silence from people hurts in a different way. But she didn't stop. She didn't sit down and wait for anyone. She picked her goods, and she continued going house to house, even when it was heavy, even when it was embarrassing, even when pride was screaming inside her. She still went out because there were children at home, and children don't understand pride. They understand food. And I watched her closely in my own way, not just now, but even from before. I remembered how she used to help, how she used to support, how she used to show up when others didn't. So when I called her recently, and she still managed to send me money, even when I knew she clearly didn't have enough, something inside me broke a little, because I realized she is still that same person, just in a different season. And then I saw something deeper, not just her struggle, but her courage inside the struggle, the way she carries her market, the way she moves from door to door, the way she refuses to let her children suffer quietly. That's when my emotion changed. It was no longer just sadness. It became respect, deep respect. And in my heart, a decision formed quietly, not loudly, not as a promise to impress anyone, but as something personal. A list only I understand. When my time opens, she will not stay in this position, not out of pity, but out of remembrance. Because I didn't forget who she was when she had something. So now when I think about her, I don't just see a struggling woman. I see two versions of her at once. The one who used to give, the one who is now still trying to survive. And both versions live inside my memory at the same time. That's why it touches me deeply. And maybe the most important part of this story is not money, not even the future plan. It is this: even in a season where she is struggling, someone is still watching her with love instead of judgment. Someone still remembers her kindness. Someone still says she was there for people, and that memory didn't die. It just moved into me. And maybe one day, inshallah, this story will not end with struggle. It will end with restoration. Not because life became easy, but because Allah wrote a way for her out of what she's in. And I became one of the means. For now, it's just a story being lived quietly. A story being lived quietly. But it's not finished yet. Because Allah is still writing the next chapter. And maybe one day we will look back at this chapter, not with sadness, but with gratitude. Alhamdulillah.